welcome to Writers Blockbusters, the show where we treat the final edit of the movie like the script. I'm one of the hosts, Bob Rose, at Thundergrunt Bob on Instagram, and right now Jamie's going to introduce himself.
Hey there, I'm Jamie Nash. I am the writer of Save the Cat Writes Horror, Save the Cat Writes for TV, and the Save the Cat Beat Sheet Workbook. I'm also a screenwriter. You can check me out at www. Do we still say that? www?
You can, for fun.
Okay. I mean, I still think of it in those terms. .jamienash.net.
Jimmy?
I am Jimmy George. I am a screenwriter and script consultant, and like Steven Spielberg, I've never had a close encounter, but I wish I had. And you can find me at scriptbutcher.com.
Jimmy could be kind of like a Steven Spielberg lookalike. He's starting
a little bit. Yeah, no, he's getting there
with the beard and the hair. Yeah,
you got to age another like 5 years, and I think
I need glasses. Yeah. Hold on,
you should do that for Halloween one year. I think it would work.
This is my They Live glasses, so
that's pretty good.
Hard to.
Nobody listening can see this, so that's great.
Yeah, I think it would totally work.
Funny story about this episode. So I messaged the guys.
Yeah.
I messaged the guys yesterday and I say, remember to watch the theatrical cut. Then Jamie says, actually, I watched the director's cut. And then Jimmy says, well, I watched the theatrical cut. And then we figure out that Jimmy actually watched the theatrical cut twice already. No, the director's cut twice already.
The director's cut. Yeah,
twice.
Yeah. So we are talking about the director's cut today, not the theatrical cut. And this is the first director's cut we're ever going to discuss on this show. Yeah. Every time there's ever been that opportunity, we chose theatrical. But because the director's cut is just available everywhere, whereas the theatrical cut is like not really streaming, and it's unless you pay a lot of money for it or buy it on Blu-ray. So this is about the director's cut, which has scenes that the theatrical did not.
Yeah, and if you go out there on Peacock right now and watch it, you're gonna find the director's cut. It doesn't even mention it doesn't say it. It just
that's what I mean. Yeah. Like I clicked on the movie.
Yeah,
and I didn't like it didn't say director's cut. So
and honestly, I've talked to friends about this recently, and they didn't realize that this wasn't the theatrical cut because unless you were of a certain age and saw this in the theater, there's a good chance this is the version So
right. I have the Blu-ray with all three cuts.
Oh shit!
On it, but I think I've only ever watched the director's cut in that set. So whatever. All right. Before we get into the talking points, let's just go around and we'll say I don't know, a personal blurb about what Close Encounters means to us. Let's start with Jimmy.
So this is only the third and fourth time I've seen this movie. So it's not one of the Spielberg movies I gravitate toward. And now that we've been doing the show has kind of helped me understand my taste as we're talking about story. And through the show, I've learned that I don't gravitate toward vibes. And this is definitely like Steven Spielberg's one of those Steven Spielberg vibes movies. It's so much like UFO vibes, there is a story, there is like a momentum and propulsion that uses Hollywood cheeseburger stuff that we're going to talk about. But I think there's a lot of this movie that's just vibes, and I love those vibes, but watching it the last few nights helped me realize, I get why I don't come back to this, because there's not much character work. It doesn't have all the things that I gravitate toward from a movie. But that being said, I love it, and my most memorable anecdote with this movie is I got to see it a couple of years ago on the big screen, and it was freaking magical. So I'm really great.
And that was the director's cut.
It's probably the director's cut.
No, it definitely was the director's cut.
It was,
because I was like,
I think it was 2017.
Yeah, I saw it too.
Yep. So it was awesome. It was at the Dolby Theater in Columbia, so it was awesome.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean that's don't have much else to say.
Okay, Jamie.
So this one is interesting for me. So it loomed heavy in my childhood, but I never saw it. Like I think I was probably scared of it or something. I think it probably, because it kind of was pitched as a horror movie of sorts, just because it was aliens and in search of, even though it really isn't a horror movie, but it definitely has trappings of a horror movie. It has some scary scenes.
As we're going to talk about, yeah.
As we're going to talk about, it has a lot of trappings of a horror movie. So when I was a little kid, I saw Star Wars, but I never saw this. I didn't see the original Jaws 2 years later, and I didn't see this till years later either. But it was all over the place, T-shirts. For some reason in my head, whenever I think back to 1977, 78, 79, I always go to Ocean City, Maryland, because I spent a lot of time there when I was a kid. And like, that's what I think of, is like people wearing T-shirts, or the movie. Like when I look in the newspaper, there was an ad for the movie or something. But the one thing I remember of Ocean City, Maryland, they had because I always paid attention to this stuff as a kid. On the boardwalk, they had a haunted house that was a Close Encounters of the Third Kind haunted house. It wasn't even on the pier. It was like on 3rd Street, if you know Ocean City at all.
Yeah.
And it was just in like a place that they put like a restaurant now or something. And you just like walk around this thing.
Was it called Close Encounters?
It was called Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And as a little kid, I was always fascinated by the haunted houses. Like that was when I was like 5, and I would have been like 5 years old at the time. 6 years old? Yeah, 5 years old. Staring at it and just being kind of obsessed. Like every time I walk by, seeing the guys in the alien masks and stuff. They were like tall guys in all white suits with an alien mask. And you would
on
go
the
back,
boardwalk. That's awesome.
on the boardwalk. And it was there for like 1 or 2 years and then just went away. Maybe somebody on here will be old enough to remember this or something, because it's a really weird thing that stands out in my head.
I do not remember that.
Well, you wouldn't, because it was 1977 or so.
Okay.
It could have been 78. It was like right around the time. But anyway, it loomed
Didn't
large.
last long?
Yeah, it was there for like 2 years, and then
okay. I thought it was like
it probably became like a funnel cake shop or something like that.
Yeah.
Boardwalk fries.
Boardwalk fries.
I want to Google that after this.
Me too.
I want to see what it looks like.
I bet you can't even find it.
Find a picture of it or anything?
It was very mom and pop crap. Like who even thought to make this a business? Let's just open up this little side shop and have people walk through, and aliens will jump out and go boo or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that always stuck in my mind. Like that was the weirdest thing. Like, and I never ever again saw anything like that on the boardwalk. But Close Encounters did it. So anyway, I saw this years later, like probably in my teenage years. And what I'll say about this movie, I think I never thought I'd like it, but then I watched it all those years later, and it has quickly moved up in my top 5 Spielberg movies. And it's one of the few movies, not just Spielberg, but I'm not much of a rewatcher. I rewatch things for this podcast. I rewatch them if I'm analyzing them for a screenplay or something. But I'm not much of a person that just keeps rewatching things over and over again. And there's only a few movies I rewatch every couple years, and Jaws probably goes in that category to an extent. The movies are really weird. The ones I rewatch, The Verdict, I rewatch every few years. I always like. Okay. Sometimes for some reason I really like The Verdict. It's a great movie. Kramer versus Kramer, I rewatch I found they're all 70s movies, which is another weird thing. But I go back to 70s movies. And there's a handful of them, and Close Encounters is one of them that I constantly rewatch every few years. And I don't have it. I think part of the reason, like, I've seen Raiders of the Lost Ark like 150, 200, 300 times, something like that. Like I rewatched it over and over and over again when I was a kid. Last Crusade over and over and over again. Star Wars over and over and over again. But Close Encounters, I didn't really do that. So I've probably seen it still less than 20 times. So I still kind of don't have it memorized, and I still get enjoyment out of it. So anyway, it strangely enough, as an adult, it's probably my go-to rewatchable Spielberg movie. Of all the other Spielberg movies, this is the one I rewatch most regularly. That's what I would say about it. So I'm a big fan. I don't really remember the first time I saw it, but it was somewhere in high school or something like that. Oh, and the other thing, 2017, I have a weird story about. So a friend of mine called me up one night and he said, "Hey, I'm going to see Close Encounters at the Senator on the big screen." and he calls this particular person. I don't think he listens to the podcast. He always calls me like on the way to the movie or like, hey, I'm going in an hour. Can you go? And I almost always, like 99.9% of the time, he's done this for the last 20 years, said no. But he said Close Encounters at the Senator. And I was like, wow, Close Encounters at the Senator. I'm going to see it. It's 100. I went. So like on a moment's notice, here I go to Close. I'm so excited. I'm like, because I can't imagine. I've only watched it on TV up to this point. And I get there, and it's in this little side theater.
Oh, they had cut the screen.
Man,
it was devastating because I was expecting
the 900 seater,
the 900 seater huge screen experience, and I get this little thing that's just a little bigger than my TV, with a few people in the theater. You
mean one of the ones to the right?
Yes.
Oh man, this is a small one.
I didn't even know they existed at the time because I don't go to the Senator. When you tell me the Senator in Baltimore is our big historic theater.
Yeah.
And
they added 3 screens to it.
And I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. So I've never been more disappointed in my life than having to sit in that room and watch on that little screen with 10 other people.
Oh, damn, Jamie.
Yes.
I mean, you're still watching Close Encounters, so
it was still. I still had a great time watching it.
Yeah.
Oh man, we got to find a revival for Jamie.
Well, I have a friend that works at AFI, and he's constantly telling me about all these movies. I think Raiders is playing there. This Jaws, all these movies. I never go. I just don't go.
They just had Terminator 2 on 70.
It's on Peacock. Whatever. Who cares?
I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
I didn't know until after it was done.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Senator, man.
Anyway, day. Is that are you good?
That's it.
Oh, I was gonna say, for the life of me, you could put a gun to my head, I couldn't tell you when I first saw this movie. I don't remember at all. It was just weird because I feel like every time we do a old movie, I always remember like my history with it. No clue. But there was a period in my life where I was like kind of a little bit, similar to Jamie. I was like obsessed with like watching the movie, where like in like good 5-10 year period where I would just like it would just be like in the rotation, like Big Lebowski level rewatching, just like put it on so I could feel those vibes, Jimmy. Like just something about it. I just was like obsessed with it for a while. But I'll say this, very much similar to you, Jamie, is that as I get older, I feel like I'm loving it more. And I'm trying, like, even today when I was watching it for the show, I was like, why? What is making me watch more? And I think if I had an answer to that, and I feel like it'll go into some of the discussion topics, is it's a young man's movie. It's a movie that is definitively made by a young person who wants to know the mysteries of the universe.
Mm-hmm. It
is not made by a family man. Whatsoever. I'm not a family man, admittedly. And so there's something about that, I think, that's speaking to me, is like, it's someone I'm middle-aged now, and I'm watching this kind of a 20-year-old's search for the truth, and there's something about that I find enticing.
Yeah.
I don't know what that says about me, but it's speaking to me a little bit more than even when I saw it when I was younger. I think back then I just liked it because, John Williams and Spielberg and Douglas Trumbull's effects and all that stuff. But now I'm like, I don't know. It feels, out of all of his filmography, it feels the most youthful, in my opinion. There's also something that's also like so unconventional about it.
It is. Yep.
It's so simplistic. For all that, like, I agree with you, Jimmy. Like, it's just, it's not a character piece, really.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of dialogue. It feels like you could break it down in just like chunks so easily. Like it's just something very odd about the movie, but it speaks to me more now. So yeah, a very odd relationship with it. But I don't know if it's in my top 5, Jamie, but it's close, if not top 7 maybe. So of Spielberg, not of all time.
But I love that you guys both love it this much. Makes me.
I mean,
more
it's Close Encounters,
Yeah.
I don't, but I've never saw. Obviously, I'm too young to have seen it. Like I've seen the theatrical cut on VHS. That's the only time I ever saw that. So I don't remember it. But apparently, it's just like 3 scenes or something, right? That doesn't really. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
I don't even know the differences.
It's like the boat scene is not there, right, Jamie?
Mm-hmm.
When they find the boat in the desert.
The boat scene isn't there. That's the biggest thing is that
there's some trimming on the family drama.
There's some trimming on the family drama. And then the special edition had inside the spaceship, which nobody likes. Yeah.
That was the studio forcing him. Okay.
Studios.
Well, first let's talk about box office. Jamie, what did this movie make?
Yeah. So, I have Box Office Mojo from 1977 up. So okay. I think the real number that they quote, because the re-releases and stuff, is somewhere in the 300s of millions. But this has worldwide of 116. Well, and then it has domestic, almost the same number, but slightly different. Isn't that? It seems weird.
It does seem off.
It's like one is 116,400, and then domestic it has 116,395. Does it seem possible that out of all the numbers it could make, it was only 5 million shorter than the worldwide? It just seems odd.
Yeah, that's weird.
So other movies in that year include Star Wars at number 1.
Oh man. What a year for sci-fi. Holy shit.
Yeah, and you know what? Yeah. Now I'm looking at that.
Spielberg and Lucas together. Wow.
Yeah.
And on Box Office Mojo, when I look at that, it has the same number for worldwide and domestic for Star Wars. So and it has the same number for Smokey and the Bandit. So why doesn't it have the same number for Close Encounters and domestic? It's weird. I have no idea what's going on. So Star Wars was number 1. Smokey and the Bandit was number 2. It's Smokey and the Bandit is one of those things because it's kind of forgotten, like in some ways, like nobody's remaking.
It's not really talked about now.
But that thing was a juggernaut,
right?
when I was a kid.
They made 3 of them.
Yeah, I mean, there was no bigger box office hit. I mean, Star Wars was the bigger box office hit.
Well, Burt Reynolds in the 70s was like a god too, right?
Absolutely. So 4th, Saturday Night Fever. 5th, A Bridge Too Far, which I didn't even realize came out in 1977. Number 6, The Deep, which kind of had Jaws vibes, but if you ever see it, it's very disappointing if you go in expecting Jaws. Number 7, The Spy Who Loved Me. Number 8, another movie that was kind of a franchise unto itself that's been long forgotten. Oh God. Oh God.
Oh man.
Number 9, Annie Hall, and number 10, Semi-Tough, which I don't even really remember.
I don't even know if I've heard of that.
The variety. Every time we hear these old lists,
they're so variety. Now it would just be like Spider-Man 6 and like Deadpool 5.
It's funny in the top 20 here.
Toy Story 5.
There are a bunch of movies I remember seeing in the theater. Pete's Dragon I saw in the theater. The Rescuers I loved. I saw in the theater. Yes. That was like one of my favorites. And then, but Slapshot, I didn't see Slapshot as a little kid. But that was also came out. Oh, and Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo. I definitely saw in the theater.
Where was that on the list?
It was 17.
17. Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo.
Yeah. Here's a weird thing. It beat out Freaky Friday.
Oh,
damn!
Surprising. Which is number 20.
I watched an interview with Spielberg with AMC where they were presenting this movie like last week. They were doing like interviews with him. He was doing 3 sci-fi movies to celebrate Disclosure Day. And he said something I didn't know, which he said this movie saved Columbia Studios from going under completely. That's why he explained it. They took it away from him or forced him to release it. That's why he didn't get to shoot those scenes.
Oh, okay.
If they didn't release it, and if it wasn't a big hit, that whole studio was ready to tank. So he basically saved the studio with an unfinished movie.
Damn.
And then they wanted to re-release it and they let him shoot more stuff. And that's how it went down.
Wow. All the movies, the 80s movies we would have lost.
Right?
Yeah, holy shit.
Right? Yeah.
Ghostbusters immediately comes to mind.
I just found that interesting because I was like, oh, there's another thing about Spielberg. No, he saved the studio.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know.
Yeah. Oh my God.
God damn.
Yeah. And what's interesting about that too is that he wrote this before Jaws. Or he
yeah.
started. It was kind of in production before Jaws, I'd say. I'm not sure that this version was finished. So Columbia was already dealing with him. If he had waited to after Jaws, maybe he wouldn't have gone, maybe he would have gone back with the Jaws studio and things like that. But instead, he was still with Columbia. So just to give you a quick rundown about the writing of this, it started, I mean, you could go all the way back. I don't know that this movie ever surfaced. I think clips did, but Firelight, you've probably heard of Firelight.
Oh yeah, Firelight, sure. That's his
that
first
was the movie
short.
He directed at each. It was actually a feature. It's 100.
Okay.
It's a 135-minute feature.
Have you ever seen it?
I've seen clips of it on YouTube. I feel like I saw it somewhere and it was really hard to watch because it's a 17-year-old, making an independent film with no money.
I personally, it's like I've never seen it. That's like the one Spielberg thing I've never.
If you check out YouTube, I think you'll find like 3-minute clips of it or something. Okay. But that's it. I don't think you can watch the whole thing. So I'm not sure why I think in my head I've had the opportunity to watch it, but who knows? Because I don't think it's out there. And that was about ordinary people experiencing like alien encounters, and it had scientists, it had all the stuff. Like a lot of the ideas that are in Close Encounters, it was just done by a 17-year-old, like in their neighborhood, So it was very different.
It's the Fabelmans version of Close Encounters.
Yeah, exactly. And then he wrote a short story, if I remember, called Experiences or something like that. But that was more like in the 70s. And it was about teenagers witnessing lights in the sky. I don't know where that ever showed up or what it was, but I read a book on Close Encounters a few years ago. And it mentioned that. So around the time of Sugarland Express was when he started working on Close Encounters. It was called Watch the Skies at that time. And the first person he hired to write for him was Paul Schrader.
Yeah.
And he always says that Paul Schrader's version was like the most embarrassing script that anyone had ever submitted to a studio or something. Which is really weird. He always kind of says it in a joking way because he always describes it as like a person in a room, like kind of thinking about religion and what the effect of UFOs have about religion and stuff. And it was very cerebral.
Paul Schrader said this?
No, Spielberg says that.
Oh, Spielberg. Okay.
And he said it just wasn't what he wanted. It was too like theological, too heady. And originally, I think the pitch for Watch the Skies when he pitched it to Columbia was Watergate meets UFOs, essentially. So it was a little Disclosure Day in some ways.
Yeah,
right.
And the one thing he gives Schrader credit for is Schrader came back and said, I think it's the story of St. Paul. And if you don't know the story of St. Paul, he kind of was like a tax collector, and then he had this vision, I'm doing a bad version of the Bible. Don't come here for theological.
Sunday school.
Yeah. And then he became obsessed in some ways with Christ and devoted to Christ and had a calling and stuff like that. And Paul Schrader wanted to do that with UFOs. And that's what essentially Close Encounters became. So it went away from the Watergate conspiracy thing and more this Life of Paul kind of thing. And then Jaws came and kind of interrupted everything. And after he survived all that, he kind of came out of that with a lot of leverage and budget, stuff like that.
Right.
And eventually he did get other writers to work on it, but he realized he had to do the draft himself. So he wrote a draft. I think some of the additional writers on IMDb, John Hill, David Giller, and then Barwood and Robbins kind of came in and did some comedy punch-ups, according to what I remember. Like they added some levity, some neat ideas, and they came aboard during the shooting of it. So there's a bunch of people that wrote, and he gives credit to all these people. He said they all had influence, but he did ultimately get the screenplay credit for it. And just to look at his history, the things he's actually written. So you have Disclosure Day, he got a story by recently. The Fabelmans, he got a written by credit. I know Poltergeist is on here somewhere. I'm scanning down IMDb. There's he has a lot of weird video games, original concepts or stuff like that. Creators,
an idea man.
Yeah, I'm kind of skipping over like lots of story by for Amazing Stories, The Goonies story by. Screenplay by was Poltergeist though, and that was his first one after Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So really, I think they're the big three: were Close Encounters, Poltergeist, and The Fabelmans, and now you add to it Disclosure Day. He gets a story by.
Well, so I mean, he's never been known as a writer, really, right? Like, I don't think that's part of his reputation.
No.
Bad. I'm just not saying he's bad at it. I'm just saying that's not.
I feel like I saw him live we probably discussed this with the Fabelmans.
Yeah, you did, but say it again
yeah.
for anyone who hasn't heard that.
Well, so in that conversation for the Fabelmans, he kind of, even though he got a written by, I got the feeling it was more lots and lots and lots of discussions with the other writer. The other writer did the heavy lifting. And I get the feeling that's what happened with Disclosure Day too. I know
he pretty much admitted it with Disclosure Day.
Yeah.
It's like him having conversations with David Koepp.
Yeah, but I think Close Encounters, he probably grinded it out in a typewriter. He probably did it.
Yeah.
And the other thing, if you ever go back to that Raiders of the Lost Ark story conference, I get the feeling he's that kind of director where he has these long story conferences. Somebody takes notes, the writer goes away and writes all the notes, but he's coming up with things like, I think he has a whip and a hat or something, I want him to have a whip and I want him to run away from a boulder so he's pitching lots of ideas to the writer.
Which explains, and then Paul Schrader comes back. He's like, it's a guy in a room thinking about religion.
Right.
Right.
And Steven Spielberg's like, what the fuck is this?
No, Steven Spielberg's like, no, he's thinking about a mountain.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, I think that I always assume like the Raiders of the Lost Ark story conference shows you how much story input he actually gives. It's not like a complete split decision because of course then he has notes and all that kind of stuff. Right. But those story meetings, he contributes a lot of story, not to take away anything from the screenwriter because they have to decide what's good. They have to figure out how to integrate it. They have to do all that work and write the screenplay and the dialogue and everything else. But I do think he has a great story brain, obviously. And contributes all that stuff. Yep.
Okay, you want to talk about In Media Res?
Yeah, I put this on here because in case this is your first rodeo with this show, I read amateur scripts 5 days a week, and these days Jamie's doing it a lot more than he used to as well. So I'm not going to speak for him, but I imagine he runs into what I run into, which is a lot of movies that are the wake up alarm clock opening scene or something similar, which is the antithesis of this idea, in media res. Jamie, do you want to set this up for us?
Yeah, sure. So
the alarm clock makes me laugh.
The alarm clock happens so often. You know what's funny? On social media, I occasionally post. So I think I posted one the other day. It was a new one that I've seen a lot, and it was, Jimmy, tell me if you've seen this one. A bird soars through the air.
Yeah.
And you get this, we watch as the bird flies over the castle and this and that. And it goes over all this. It goes on for a page or two.
Okay, are you ready? I think I've told you this.
Okay.
That's how I opened my first script.
That's right.
It's a crow flying over the setting. For
Did it crash into an alarm clock?
And it lands on the haunted house of the story that we're going.
That's what it always is. It lands
I did that. Thing. I mean, you got to start somewhere, right?
It almost feels like the opening of like a Tales from the Crypt type show or something, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know where we're all getting it from, but yeah, that's how when I was 19 years old, my first screenplay, it opened with 2 pages of description of a bird.
It's texture when you're thinking about film. It's like, what's the widest shot you can get? What's something we can follow to the place we're going? A bird is a natural assumption, right?
What's funny is when I post these on social media, my famous breakfast scene and stuff like that, like skip breakfast, every scene. By the way, this movie almost has a breakfast scene. It's not breakfast, but it's kind of similar. So those can work, and they work.
But it's not the
often.
first scene.
It's
Yeah.
well,
It's first
but
scene with them.
It's
but
the first scene with them, and that's usually what happens at the breakfast scene. It's usually the
Yeah.
second scene because it's usually the first scene with them. But anyway, I always get lots of pushback, and it's always kind of funny. Like, well, the birds are common animals. To do a thing,
People are so
and it's like
unwilling to hear the feedback.
I just read 3 scripts in the last 6 months, and I only read about 10 scripts, per 6 months. So 30% of the scripts I read started with a page of birds flying, and you want to argue it. You want to argue the point. I'm just saying, maybe
I'm writing under a pseudonym, Jamie, just to get your notes.
Yeah. And the weird thing about the bird thing is it's just my bigger problem with the bird thing is it's really boring. It's like I skip it. I don't want to read all
especially
that.
to read. Like,
it's
to
so
read
boring to read.
fly.
It's so boring, and that's my bigger point with it. Is it's so boring, which brings us back to our point. Like watching a bird fly around the setting is so boring to read, and it's so boring.
I want to write
read
a script.
for 2
It's like
pages.
an alarm clock with wings is soaring in the sky.
An alarm clock goes off. A bird soars overhead. He flies over the castle. He lands for breakfast.
He lands at Breakfast Castle where they're eating breakfast 24 hours a day.
But the bird thing is worse than the breakfast thing. The breakfast thing can be great, like this story shows or Breaking Bad shows. The bird is just so boring to read. I defy you to make the bird interesting. I defy you. So
it's such a dumb problem.
Yeah. But what In Media Res does is it dumps you in the middle of something already happening. And because it dumps you, there's all kinds of like curiosity. And there's attention to it because we're trying to figure out what's going on, and that's fun. And in a weird sort of way, I think the opening is something not to be wasted because it's the one spot you get to do that for free. You just dump somebody in, and all that energy, all that urgency of figuring it out. They're on the run. They're on the move. You can dump them in any spot you want at the most interesting part of their life, of their day, of the minute. And you can just dump us in there. It's such a big advantage that to start with an alarm clock is just kills me whenever I read it. Or to start with a bird flying around the set, it just kills me. And this, dump us in the middle. Dump us in the middle.
And Jamie, you've said on the show in the past, I love quoting Jamie back to Jamie. It's like one of my favorites. You've said, and I got this from your notes when I sent the script with 2 pages of bird flying. You've said, make your opening to your movie a sequel to a movie that just ended. Yeah. And I feel like that is what this movie does, right? There's like this group of mystery people who are looking for something in the desert, right? And you're like, what movie just ended? There's these mystery planes in the middle of the desert. Where'd they come from? They're untouched from the 40s. They're like 30 years old. It's very, your brain is going, what's happening? Everybody's really nervous. There's a collision of languages. Everybody,
they don't even know why they're there looking at the planes yet.
Right.
They're just investigating it. So
right.
They don't even know as much
everybody's
as us.
super stressed out. Everybody's speaking a different language. So it communicates that this is a global phenomenon. Right. And we're going like, what the hell's happening? And why is everybody speaking a different language? And where are they? And what are these planes? And it's just like such a cool, and then it just keeps going, right? And then we go to Wyoming, and like a kid is like awakened by like a UFO encounter, and then a bunch of other people are like, it never stops doing that. Even when we get into, is it Muncie, Wyoming?
Yeah, it's Muncie.
Muncie, Wyoming. So I just thought it was a cool example, and I feel like Spielberg always does this. I bet you if we look at his movies.
Interestingly enough, too, so that was one of the added scenes. He reshot that after he got more money.
Wow.
It was a reshoot. So that Gobi Desert scene, is it the Gobi Desert or is that later?
Sonora.
The Gobi Desert is later where they find the boat, I think.
Yeah.
So that whole desert scene was shot after the movie came out, but it was in the original script. So he wanted it. And then he never got it because he was rushed. He had to cut for budget and all his.
He understood why it mattered.
Yeah, but he wanted it, so he went and reshot it, and it's been in ever since, and that's why you can't get the original theatrical cut.
That's why
The-
Jamie
but-
had to watch it twice.
But even the original theatrical cut, it started with the air traffic controller scene, which is a similar scene
Yeah.
of like, a bunch of people confused and
trying to figure out what the hell's going on, and
we're dumped. It's not really playing up. It's not dumbing the scene down. It's just like, here, we're going to drop you in this place that you don't understand what's going on, and you'll figure it out.
It's not Roy Neary being born in the hospital.
No.
That's a good additional point, but though, Bob, what you're saying there, like, I read a lot of scripts where it starts too early in the timeline. So yeah. And there's that old adage, come in late, leave early. That goes for your like entire story too. Come in as late as possible.
I mean, I always love when movies start like mid-action scene.
Yes.
Personally, I love that. We'll never do it on this show, but one of my favorite openings of all time is Predators. It's just Adrian Brody falling from in the sky to the ground. It's just like, it's a great opening.
It's, what's funny about that? Like, I was telling you guys off air that I'm working on a new animation project, and it's kind of action oriented. And to brainstorm it, that's what I was thinking of. I was just trying to picture like what action scene I could start in the middle of. I was like, is somebody running away from something? Is somebody falling out of the sky? Is there a bird flying around the castle? No, I'm not. But
I feel like TV. Don't you feel like TV does this a lot? Like, I feel like back in the day watching Buffy or something, every episode's somebody running or from a vampire. You know what I mean?
I think that's exactly what this Sandstorm scene is. It feels like a TV pre-credit teaser. Like if this was the TV series, we'd see that, we'd get the credits, and then we'd go to the show. It feels like that's what it is.
The Close Encounters.
And I mean, before Jaws and Sugarland Express, he did 3 TV movies, so that he was in that headspace.
Yeah,
he started Columbo.
Oh, and shows. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true. Great episode of Columbo.
Yeah.
Okay. Everyman Hero.
Yeah. So this is just something I kind of noticed about this movie that I think endears me to this movie or brings me forward, that maybe doesn't happen in every movie, but this movie, it happens. And honestly, when I write, I like everyman heroes. I think it's the reason why Die Hard is my favorite action movie of all time. And it's not like John Wick or something. And I get that John Wick's great and things like that. But if you can and I get that Die Hard, he's an everyman, but he's also a cop, which is a little different, but it's still close to an everyman. But in this movie, the hero is Roy is 100% an everyman. He's just like ordinary guy, works kind of an ordinary job, has a kind of messy house, noisy kids. Everything's kind of out of control. He's not like the best dad. He's kind of doing his best, but he's kind of
he's kind of aloof even before he gets the vision.
Yes.
He's like a little bit not there.
Yeah, and for me, that's a major difference with this movie, is that it is an everyman story. They could have chosen a scientist who has this encounter, or they could have, and those characters are in here, but they're kind of side stories, they're parallel stories.
Yeah.
But the fact that they chose an everyman, I think everyman character stories are underrated. Like whenever I set out and write a new concept, and let's say I write a spy or something like that, I do fine with it, but I really love when I write everyman characters in extraordinary circumstances. And I think this movie, that's a large part of what this movie is. And it was something that I can't really speak to this as a cultural event or anything because I was too young. And I can't say I studied it that long, but I still believe that's what like Stephen King started to bring to horror. And like movies like this brought, that maybe stepped away from like 2001 in some ways, or even The Day the Earth Stood Still, though. Was that guy kind of an everyman? I'm trying to remember.
I think, yeah.
He might have been an everyman, but in this movie was kind of had some inspiration from both of those movies. But in there's, Stephen King kind of started to turn the horror on the everyman and brought the horror away from like the Gothic castles and things like that, and Frankenstein and all that stuff, and started to just say, some guy in the suburbs, horror happens. And that's what this movie did. Hey, there's this guy like you. What if he encountered a UFO? And that makes you think, what if I encountered it? And he brings it into your life and puts it there. And I think it's a big part of what makes this movie successful.
Also, like, we learn in the third act that there was a bunch of everymen that were touched. You know what I mean? Like, we're just happened to be following the guy that got to the end.
It made it all
right,
the way.
But there was everyone. There's a bunch of everymen having their own story that we learn, in that helicopter and stuff.
Yeah.
And also, like, he's not. When people watch this movie now, they also note that he's absolutely not written as a hero in any way, shape, or form. Like, I think people have a problem with that with this movie now. Like, younger generations that watch it,
is unconventional in that way.
This guy is a complete asshole. But he's also, he's getting this insane vision in his head. But he's not like a typical hero in any possible way. He is.
I think it fits the premise too, Jamie.
Totally.
There's a line in the movie where he says, like, these are ordinary people in an extraordinary situation, and that's like, if it was a scientist being the guy, it wouldn't be as cool. It wouldn't be as unique.
He can't understand anything of what's happening. He just knows that he has to be there, but not the whys of the house. Yeah.
Right, like if he was the piano player at the UFO base, and then he got the visions, it wouldn't be as
it wouldn't be as good.
Yeah,
it needs to make no sense.
Yeah,
why he's building this thing in the house, and then why he has to get there. It doesn't. He needs to not know anything about why it's happening. So
yeah, it's like the X-Files is great, but it's very different. It's a different feeling you take from the X-Files than you take from this.
Save the cat genre. We've never spoken about this.
No,
never. This is your favorite, Jamie.
I put this on at the last minute, knowing that I'd have to do my thing.
Do it.
Do it.
I feel like I have to do it every episode.
We got a Men in Black wipe Jamie of all his memory of saying
the neuralized Jamie every time.
I start, in a kind of improv comedy way, I start from the now. Like, I don't have a memorized pattern, so every time it feels like I'm doing it for the first time. That's how I try to
That's what matters then.
That's right. So I'm always in the moment. Yeah. Like, I don't like fall back onto my old pattern. I just do it from the moment. So Save the Cat genres. Save the Cat, the book that you've never heard of before by Blake Snyder. He came up with these story patterns. And I call them patterns. He calls them genres. And as I've said many times, I hate that he calls them genres because I have to explain it every time on this podcast. What
do you mean, James?
You literally did last episode, didn't you?
I'm sure I did it in the last 5 episodes. Somehow it always comes back to the genres and the patterns. So unlike like a standard genre, comedy, horror, sci-fi, his are story patterns, and they come up to things like Buddy Love, The Golden Fleece, The Why Done It, and The Monster in the House, which if you want to buy a good book, there's a book all about Monster in the House by Jamie Nash, Save the Cat Writes Horror. So why did I bring this up on this particular show? I'm not sure what genre this is. Okay. And I have like this weird theory of what it is. But I'm having trouble with what the genre of this movie is, because in some ways you could latch on to Golden Fleece because he goes on a quest to get to the Devil's Tower, and
there's a road
and stuff like that. But that doesn't happen to the very like back half of the movie. So if it is, like, he doesn't go on the road to the back half of the movie, so it's not really that. In some ways, I want to say it's a why done it or something, like figuring out the mystery, but it doesn't really fit. And so he's kind of a detective in some ways. Doesn't kind of fits, doesn't really fit. Dude with a problem usually those are problems. He doesn't really have a problem per se. It's more an obsession, so it's not really a problem. So the closest I can come up with, but it still doesn't fit, is Out of the Bottle. And it's kind of a weird.
It's like you can never go back to the way things were once you have experienced what he experienced.
Yeah. So Out of the Bottle is usually like Freaky Friday or something like that. But it's in this case, hold on, let me look up, because I looked this up last night. It's got 3 elements. This part I know. So it has these 3 elements really don't fit at all. But there's part of me that thinks the Pinocchio thing and When You Wish Upon a Star. I don't know. There's something there. Like, I'm like, is it a wish? But the first one is usually a wish or a curse, and it's
curse
usually
works.
a curse kind of works.
Yeah,
and usually that's like it's. But here's the thing: the wish asked for by the hero or another, and clearly seen need to be delivered from the ordinary. Clearly seen need to be delivered from the ordinary. I mean, this movie doesn't do a ton with character and flaw and all that stuff. Whether he has a midlife crisis here, which in some ways feels,
I mean, it starts with him like kind of arguing with his kid, and then
arguing with his kids and his wife. His wife's kind of, giving him, kind of calling him on it, and he's kind of, he doesn't seem like super happy,
he wants to force his kids to watch a movie they don't want to watch.
And to your point, Jamie, the Pinocchio thing, like he wants them to go see Pinocchio. So.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting stuff in there. By the way, another thing about his character, I don't think his character has a strong rooting resume, but I think there's something about Richard Dreyfuss, like Bill Murray, that you just like him being a jerk. Like he's one of the few guys that it's okay if you cast him as a jerk. He's kind of likable that way.
Jamie, second I thought this was when that was over, when I was watching, I was like, after the podcast, then I might watch What About Bob?
Yeah.
Literally, I said that in my brain. I was like, I kind of feel like watching What About
Bob? I mean, he's horrible in that, but he's so funny, and so you love him.
Right.
You love to hate him.
And I also think that's why I'm glad they didn't go with like Steve McQueen or Al Pacino or anything like that.
I think I just would have been cold and not like the person.
But
something about Richard Dreyfuss. He's like perfect for this. He's like so perfect for this.
But Spielberg wanted Steve McQueen most originally, and it doesn't. It
feels like that movie would leave me cold somehow.
Yeah, it doesn't feel right. Yeah,
it doesn't feel right. So the second thing is a spell, which we must make logical by upholding the rules. That doesn't really fit. So
I mean, he's under the spell of the aliens.
Of something.
He's got to
follow it.
He's got to get to wherever they're trying to make. He's like he's like under the tractor beam for the whole movie, right?
Right.
I mean, it kind of feels like it tracks.
Here's the big one that I think sells me on it, but it sells me on it because it runs total opposite to what it is, which usually is a sign. Like, not that this is a tragedy, but it's more like, so I just think there's a different lesson. So the third thing is a lesson. Be careful what you wish for. It's the theme running all out of the bottles. Life is good as it is. And this is the exact opposite. Like,
it is.
I'm going to leave my life. It's, there's something bigger out there for me, and I'm going to leave it. And I almost feel like again, I just feel like this one fits that more than it fits anything else.
Yeah.
It's a weird one.
Do you guys find it, not to interrupt this part of the conversation, do you ever find it a little bit funny now when you watch it? When he gets on the ship and is like smiling, and I'm like, it's like, fuck your family completely.
It's kind of like, it's so brazen.
And they don't come back in the movie. They don't, there's no like closure to the fact.
No, because it would have hurt more.
It would have.
And then it would have tainted the moment for sure.
Would have,
I feel like when I watch it, all these questions come to my mind. Like, that's the only set of clothes. What if they don't have food?
They've got clothes.
Shouldn't they take like food and rations or something? I don't know. There's all kinds of.
If they can beam shit into your brain, they've got clothing.
Well, I guess I'll argue that two ways. On one hand, all the people that got off the ship were alive, But on the no, not the aliens.
Oh, no, you mean the humans they returned. Okay.
That'd be hilarious if they were all like full frontal
They're all
naked.
buck naked. Yeah.
No, but they all get off, and they're wearing the exact same clothes that they got on there. So
they probably experienced no time, right? That was
I guess.
I assumed that was what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they didn't age. So
to them, it's like an instantaneous thing, probably.
Yeah. Because they all look confused. They all look like, what happened? Why am I here?
The time travel aspect is never discussed much with this movie, which I find interesting.
Or even why
we don't experience.
They don't say why they abducted them or anything else. It's all left to
they left
mystery.
to your,
but they can travel through time.
Yeah.
There's a time dilation aspect of it.
Well, or do we know they travel through time, or maybe they just?
It's like Interstellar or something. It's time dilation. Like maybe they're going the speed of light, and then they bring them back the speed of light, and then something happens there.
He does say that weird thing like Einstein was right, and he goes,
he
was probably one of them.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to mess up your.
No, that was it. That was it. I
Okay.
just wanted to mention because I really was struggling with what the genre that this was. So there you go.
I think it's the only reason I find him getting on the ship funny now is because of social media responding to this movie. That people are like, "Wait a minute, he just leaves his family." Yeah.
Hey, they left him. They went to his sisters. They're fine.
They probably
or
they weren't
sisters.
probably a great couple to begin with. Like
Right.
they looks like even if the spaceship didn't show up, they're gonna have problems. So yeah. Okay.
But those kids are fucked, man.
Yeah, right. I mean, look, the kid crying when he's doing the mashed potatoes. I'm like, yeah, this isn't gonna work out.
So heavy.
Yeah, they're not gonna recover from this. Okay, the off-screen monster.
Yeah. So the only thing I wanted to mention about this was, I think this movie does a great job, maybe even in some ways better than Jaws, of keeping the monster off screen. And it allows us to use our imagination and use what we know about aliens to fill in the blank. Because if they would have shown anything more before the ending, we probably would have checked out. Like, imagine if in the beginning we saw an alien come and grab the kid or something, or it was
one of those
there.
like kids in the suits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then suddenly the movie would be different. It would be more like this movie almost feels to me, and this is why I think I always return to it. And it's not this, but not that it's a documentary, but it feels grounded, like this could really happen, sort of thing, the whole way through. And I think by keeping the monster off the screen and limiting it to things we've heard reports of in real life, like lights in the sky and things like that, it allows us to believe that this could really happen. And I think it's a great way. So the thing I always say is, like, show the shadow of the monster, don't show the monster. like you could show the shadow against the wall. Sometimes that's better than showing the monster. And that's what this does. It shows the lights.
He doesn't even show like hands or anything. Like when the kid's getting pulled, there's not like, hands you can see holding on or anything. It's
right.
just, like,
there's a different version that goes that.
Well, I would say like Signs does that, right? Like Signs did you can see the hands until the big reveal at the end.
Right.
Right. But Spielberg keeps it completely like, what are they? Did you want to? Is there anything else to that, James?
Yeah, I'm gonna bounce. He's bouncing off that. He's setting me up for that, which is the shark fins. I think I took it off of the list officially, but
do it.
Yeah. So this made me think. There's like a whole bunch of talking points that are also on the Backrooms episode that we just did, which I find fascinating. So this movie made me think of the shark fins that we just talked about in the Backrooms episode, which are like signature Jamie's dread flags, that massive list of 50 different types of dread that you can use. These are signature dread flags that signal that your monster is near. And if they're done well, once all of these things are imbued with meaning, even if the monster's not near, the story can still show us those shark fins, those harbingers, and the monster isn't even there. So like some of the examples we talked about in the past, the yellow barrels in Jaws, the off-screen rattle in Predator, chains and nails. Every time chains and nails are on screen in Hellraiser, even if Pinhead is nowhere near, we're thinking about Pinhead. We're feeling the threat of Pinhead. Bees and mirrors in Candyman, even if Candyman isn't near when we see a mirror in Candyman, it's been imbued with meaning, so we're scared that he might be coming next, Red balloons in It, and most recently the seagulls and the no credit sign, the no credit needed sign in back rooms.
Right.
Even in the ordinary world, when they're not in the back rooms, when we see seagulls and we see the no credit needed sign, we're thinking about the monster that is the back rooms. So I wonder if we could just like riff on shark fins for the aliens.
This?
Yeah,
I mean, first of all, power outages or power
outages,
outages, or like powering up things.
Yes,
right.
Both on and off.
Jittery power, electrical
glitching, power glitching,
power glitching, and then like inanimate objects that are electric being moving, animated by power, right?
Yeah. Also clouds,
storm clouds, right?
Clouds.
Mermaid extraordinary.
Magnetism.
Magnetism, yep, that's a really good one that I noticed this time. It's like
a lot of
magnetism. Yep. There's a thing with light, right? Like Jamie, you said light. It's defying gravity, like the light of the truck behind him. Once that happens, every time we see light, it's like scary, right? No matter what happens, when there's a bright light, we're like, oh shit, like, is that the aliens? And sometimes it's not, but we're feeling that tension. And even the song, right? Like the song, even though it turns out to be like a good thing for the movie, every time we hear the song, it's scary until it's revealed that they're not like gonna kill us, these monsters. So I mean, what do we do? I think we just listed 7 different types of shark fins that the movie just continues to play with. So I think these can be really effective. When I'm making a monster, this is one of the first things I'm doing. I'm like, what are my shark fins? What are my signature dread flags?
That he's close, right?
That the monster is near.
Yeah.
And because like you're going to run into these 5-page stretches where there's no way the monster can be there, but you don't want to dial it down. You want the people to still be scared, and you're like, oh, I'll throw a red balloon in the scene. And even though Pennywise isn't going to be on screen for another 5 minutes, there just happens to be a motivated red balloon, and you're thinking about Pennywise, right? So that's
when you have these, you can play with it, because like one of the awesome scenes in this movie is the helicopter showing up.
Right, the reversal of expectation.
Right. It's revealed that they're not. It's us. It's humans.
Because the lights, you're thinking it's the ship, and then it's a helicopter. That's a perfect example, Bob. Yeah, you could use it to subvert expectations. Right. And then the other thing I almost forgot. So I'm wondering if you guys can think of stuff, because I didn't do like any deep dives on this, examples of this, but this made me think of a new thing to add to the monster list when you're making all the like the signature sound, right? The signature look, the signature signature scar. Like it left
a sunburn.
It left the guy on the desert with the sunburn. It left Richard Dreyfuss with the sunburn. It left Jillian with her own version of the sunburn. The ship left them with a signature scar that shows that the monster, they have encountered the monster, is a visual signal that they all share. And I wonder if we can think of, we don't have to riff right now, but I bet if we look at like some famous monsters, there would be examples of signature scars that are left. It's really cool. It makes me think of the Pandora.
Call it a shark bite.
Shark bite. Shark fins and shark bites.
Yeah,
dude. Yes, that's good. We're doing it.
Okay.
Shark bites. You need a shark bite here.
Right.
These things, they just help. They help. What happens a lot when I'm reading scripts that have a monster or a supernatural figure that's not a monster, like an alien, is they're not specific enough. They're not unique enough. And these are the types of things that leave the reader with like some specific experience that makes you go like, I'm going to remember this specific to this movie. So the sunburn really stood out to me. I hadn't really thought of signature shark bite. So this is awesome. I love it.
Shark bite. Yeah. Okay. The mashed potato mountain.
I'm so excited to talk about this. This is totally mine. So, like, one of my most famous notes, to bouncing off what I just said, like, things aren't specific enough, is you need a mashed potato mountain here. Like I'll be reading a scene and I'll then of course I'll have to explain what the hell the mashed potato mountain is. So maybe it's not a good note.
Well, obviously it's from the famous movie UHF.
It's
Weird Al Yankovic.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of my my younger clients wouldn't even know what the hell that is.
That's
sadly,
when I first saw the gag. I didn't even know.
That's
what it meant.
funny. You saw the parody.
I saw parody first.
So we talk a lot about Jamie. I'll force you to do this again. Do you want to explain premise paint?
Yeah, sure. So premise paint is kind of an idea we came up with, that when you have a premise, there might be, like, I almost want to say an ordinary part of it and a unique part of it is in some ways. And the ordinary part is almost like your sketch, to use the metaphor, to take the metaphor. And it might be something like we've talked about Ghostbusters, for example. So the ordinary part might be, I don't know, exterminators, right? Yeah. But because they're the Ghostbusters, ghosts and spooky stuff, and New York City, we think is a big part of that
palette. Yep.
And you start to paint your scene. So you say, well, what's a chase scene with this? You know, what's an extermination scene? And then you paint it, and it might be slime and Slimer and things like that in the hotel. Or you might think of the grand finale, like, what is it in Ghostbusters? Kind of this horror comedy would be the big finale, and it might be at the top of like a high New York building. It might be the Marshmallow Man because of the comedy elements that you're painting in.
Yep. The genre paint. Yep.
It's so your premise is kind of the promise that you have to the audience of what they can expect to see. And that promise should be painted all over your story.
In every scene, in every moment.
In every scene. Yeah. It can always use a touch up. And basically at the end of the day, you want to say, you know, what's unique about this scene that only my movie can have this specific scene. I mean, that's it in general, if you ask yourself that
and
question.
So what I do since we've honed in on this over 150 episodes is I actually create like a palette full of all the various unique things about the why here, the why now, the setting, the genre, the tone, the character relationships, their skills and hobbies. All of those things are different paints that make up this unique paint colors, right? And I put that at the top of my final draft document. I put the palette up there and I write the scene. And then I look on the palette and I go, am I missing any of these things? Is there no sign of one of these things in this scene? And if I find one, then I know that I need to keep workshopping the scene until I can put that other thing in there that's missing. And I found, like, when I've been on assignments and stuff, when I'm when a scene isn't popping for people, I go and I look at it and I'm like, oh shit, I'm missing the why. I'm missing the Christmas paint, right? It's a Christmas movie and there's nothing about Christmas in this scene.
Right.
So and what I read a lot is scenes where you could read that moment, you could see that thing, you could hear that line in any movie, and then I say, been there, heard that, been there, seen that, and what's missing is that premise paint. So the mashed potato mountain is like the purest example of that, right? It's a dinner table scene, ordinary mashed potatoes plus the Close Encounters premise. You get the mashed potato mountain. You're only getting the mashed potato mountain with Richard Dreyfuss's Roy's unique problem, right? You're not getting it any other time. And now it's like we've got this movie filled with like alien ships, and like the mothership is in the Smithsonian. And like one of the things that's most replicated in culture from this movie is the mashed potato mountain. If you type in mashed potato mountain in Google, you're going to get like thousands of pictures of people making it themselves. Right?
And there's people like at dinner tables across the world still that whenever they have mashed potatoes on their plate,
they make the mountain.
They still
and that's
do
because it does such a good job of exemplifying what this movie is. That like you want to revisit it, right? So this is like maybe my favorite example of premise delivery in all of movies.
We should do UHF at some point.
Oh god, we haven't done that would be good. That would be really good.
Okay, obsession as stakes.
Yeah, so this movie, the reason I bring this up is because the last movie we did have obsession as stakes. Last movie has a shift, but it doesn't take it all the way through. But initially, it's obsession as stakes in the fun and games. That movie was Backrooms, had obsession as stakes. So here's the interesting thing about obsession as stakes. Most movies, the stakes are what happens if the hero fails. In Close Encounters or other movies where obsession are the stakes, it's what happens to Roy if he never gets an answer? If he never gets an answer to this. And in the end, that means he's sacrificed his sanity, his job, his family, his identity. He's an embarrassment to the whole community for nothing.
Right,
So
right.
it's almost like he's already lost that stuff. Now his goal is to justify that loss.
Yeah.
And that's what obsession is about. And sometimes it's a moving train. They're losing all that stuff while they're doing it, but it's not that they don't care about the stuff they're losing. It's just that they think this is so important, it's worth losing that stuff. And they have to see it to the finish to prove it was worth all of that stuff that they kind of sacrificed at the end of the day.
Can you think of some other examples besides Backrooms that we just did where this is like used?
Yeah. So one I thought of, and I don't know this movie super well, but maybe you could tell me if this is the case. Is Field of Dreams obsession stakes?
Yeah, that works.
That was the first one that popped into my head.
His family, everything's falling apart around him, but he's driven. He's got to do this. Yeah.
I was thinking like Moby Dick might be an obsession stakes. I mean, that's
trying to think of movies where like a scientist is obsessed with a breakthrough or something. I mean, like that,
somebody's The Fly or something.
The Fly,
like
a
that.
little
Fly
bit.
is absolutely carries some of that.
Some of it, yeah.
But that changes when he turns into a fly. But his first act,
the first act. I'm trying to think of.
But anyway,
it almost feels like something that it's like for a side character in a lot of movies have this. Mm-hmm. But like, you know what I mean? Like the main character is not always the one that has this problem.
I mean, this is Renfield, right? So
yeah, right.
No, it's I've never really thought about obsession as stakes until you pointed. This is cool. Like I want to know. I would like gonna be looking for it.
It's like
now.
Fueling it. I mean, Contact probably has it.
Yeah, Contact does. Yeah.
Is Jessica Chastain's character in not Inception? What the hell is?
Zero Dark 30.
No, I'm talking about the Christopher Nolan space Interstellar. She's obsessed with finding her father.
Though you could say finding her father is a stake as well.
That's true. That's true. Anyway, I really like this. I'm gonna be looking for it.
It's like I don't remember.
How about like
Donnie Darko well enough, to remember if that's.
Yeah.
Oh, you ever seen The Vanishing?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
When that can't like
that's also kind of like a rescue mission though.
But like when it's assumed that they're probably dead, I just need to know.
He needs the answer.
Yeah, I need the answer to what. I need the answer. So that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's I need the answer storylines.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And maybe Whiplash might be another one to an extent.
Yeah.
I don't know if like
because what's the big performance going to do for that guy, right? It's about his obsession to be the best. Yes.
Yeah. He's putting himself through all that and giving up all like his relationships.
Absolutely, everything crumbles around him. So that's like the common thing is like everything's crumbling around you at the as a consequence for your obsession. Yeah,
right.
I like that. I wonder if it's going to come up in Obsession because I haven't seen that.
No, it doesn't. It's
not
interesting.
No. Yeah,
I mean, mainly. Well, we'll talk about.
We'll save it when we get there.
It's not that. But okay. Yeah. Okay, the Dreadometer Barry's abduction. This is
this is the homework I gave Bob again.
You want to set it up?
Yeah, Jamie, should we do? I mean, it's using your Dread Scare Gross Out, which is Stephen King's 3 Types of Horror adapted by you. Do you want to do a brief thing, or I can just read it if you want? You tell me.
You go. Yeah, you can read it. Go for it.
Okay, so I'll do it this time. So, Stephen King, in his Danse Macabre book, which if you're not familiar with it, Stephen King has a book just about the subject of horror and horror writing. It's very good. It's called Danse Macabre. And in that book, he includes his 3 types of horror that he used, which I actually believe came from like an article he wrote in somewhere in like his local paper in the 70s. But and he says that his 3 types of horror are the terror when you come home and notice everything you own has been taken away and replaced by an exact substitute. It's when the lights go out and you feel something behind you. You hear it. You feel its breath against your ear. But when you turn around, there's nothing there. And Jamie, you've rebranded this very simply as dread, right? Like that's your dread flags.
That's right.
Dread. And then the second one, Stephen King says, is the horror, the unnatural, spiders the size of bears, the dead waking up and walking around, when the lights go out and something grabs you. And Jamie, you've recoded that as the scare, right?
Yep.
That's the jump scare. And then this needs no recoding. The gross out, the sight of a severed head tumbling down a flight of stairs. It's when something green and slimy splatters against your arm. So that one you've kept, right? That's the same?
Yep, that's the same.
Yeah. So, and then I love this quote that was in the article. He says, "I recognize terror as the finest emotion. I'll try to terrorize the reader. But if I find I can't terrify him or her, I'll try to horrify. And if I can't horrify, then I'll go for the gross out. I'm not proud." So anyway, when I was watching this, even though it's not technically a horror movie, it stuck out to me.
It's a horror scene.
This scene is so scary. And it stuck out to me, especially on the heels of us just doing this in the Backrooms episode, how much it was using these, and not really gross out, but there is one in there that it'll be the surprise. But I thought it would be fun to show, because what it is when we're writing these horror scenes, I mean, I myself have done this, Jamie. I don't know about you. I often won't romance it enough. I won't use enough of these, and it'll be like I'm trying to get in, get out, right? And it'll be a 1-page horror scene. And I think that after listening to this, people will be able to, it's easy to see why there's value in like trying to make it, stretch it out with more beats, right? So anyway,
I also feel like this is one of those scenes that almost defines the movie for a lot of people.
Yes.
It also makes a lot of people misinterpret it as a horror movie,
right?
You know,
I mean, yeah.
Here's another thing. When I watched this time, I almost wonder if Sam Raimi was kind of inspired by it, because there's something about the POV shots and the colors and the little things. There are a lot of like Sam Raimi tricks in there, and I was like, I've never heard Sam Raimi really.
It definitely makes me think of the cabin scene when the appliances start.
The appliances are like jumping up and down and stuff. Now he would have them laughing like ha 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 ha.
It would be way funnier for sure, and the camera work would be way more wild.
Yeah. But the whole thing kind of reminded me of a Sam Raimi scene.
It wouldn't be as grounded with Raimi, but it'd be awesome.
Weirdly enough, with age, this scene is one that feels a little like cornier for the grounded movie than like the other scenes in it. Like it doesn't have that.
It feels more genre than Prestige.
It does.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
That's why
the movie is Prestige.
I think some of it was the technology at the time and the tricks, maybe because it was fresh then, that this was actually scary to people before. Like it was like, that's terrifying. You know, my oven is coming to life or something. But yeah.
So this scene is 6 minutes long and it has 35 scare beats. So
okay, I'm gonna read the scare beats.
Yeah.
All right. First one, Dread. Barry plays the alien tune on the xylophone. Dread. Julian draws the mystery mountain haunting everyone who encountered the UFOs. Dread. Jillian takes out the trash. Storm clouds rumble above her. Dread. In the distance, dogs bark and shriek. Dread. A massive shape lights up within the rumbling storm cloud. Dread. Barry exclaims, "Toys, toys!" What the fuck is this kid talking about? Dread. The storm clouds close in on Jillian and Barry's house. The glowing shape within the cloud resembles the UFOs they saw before. Dread. Multiple bright objects emerge from the clouds and soar towards the house. Dread. Jillian locks the windows and doors. Barry approaches the front door, unafraid. Scare! A beam of orange light shoots through the keyhole. Dread. Barry opens the door. The glowing UFOs float outside, illuminating the open door in eerie orange light. Dread. Julian pulls Barry away, shuts the door. The roof above rumbles. Ceiling lights jingle. The house shakes. Dread. At the fireplace, Barry tells a mystery presence they can come inside and play now. Scare. From above, a beam of buzzing light shines on the fireplace. Searching. Dread. Barry invites them in again. Come in through the door. Dread. Jillian reaches inside the fireplace, motivates herself to be brave and shut the flue. 1, 2, 3. Shut. Scare. Something bright charges down the chimney. Jillian slams the flue shut, blocking it. Scare. The blinds shoot open. A blind light shines through the window. Barry says, Mom, look, the sun's here. Scare. Red lights flash through the other window. Jillian panics. Dread. A record player spins and plays a somber tune on its own. Scare. The floor rug flaps open, revealing a floor vent. Dread. Something crawls inside the vent, screeching the metal within. Dread. Jillian holds Barry. She watches in terror as the vent screws loosen. She screams, Go away. They don't. Scare. The vent cover flies off. Barry screams, Bang. Dread. Through the vent, illuminated smoke pours into the house. Dread. Jillian throws the rug over the vent, scoots furniture on it. Scare. A vacuum lights up. It charges Jillian and Barry. Dread. Jillian carries Barry to the phone, dials 911. On the other end, the dial tone plays the familiar alien tune. The tune gets faster and faster. Scare. The water heater door flies off. Scare. The kitchen appliances rumble and light up. Gross out. The dishwasher spews soapy liquid. Dread. A UFO appears right outside the kitchen window. Orange light streams through the blinds. Scare. The kitchen mixer spins. Forks and knives fly into the spinning mixer. Grinding. Scare. Barry leaves his mom's arms. He crawls through the doggy door toward the orange UFO light. Dread. Hysterical, Jillian desperately pulls Barry's legs. Scare. A force pulls Barry away. Scare. The flaming oven rattles again, goes silent. Dread. All the shaking appliances go still. Scare. Jillian races outside screaming, Barry. She watches the rumbling storm cloud swallow the UFO and go dark. Whew! 35 beats.
Yeah, dude.
Holy crap.
Great job, man.
You did it. It's yours.
Isn't that awesome?
It's a lot of shit. Yeah, it's good.
So that goes to show you there's value in, instead of taking that 1 minute horror scene, maybe stretch it out with 5 or 6 more beats like this. I love this.
I feel like in a modern movie, Barry would have opened the door and just have disappeared after that.
That's it. That shot in the door, that would be it, right?
Yeah. Because
you got to keep going. You got 45 seconds.
Use it up.
It's like where we talked. It's apples and oranges, but I remember when we did the Rise of Skywalker episode, and we compared Yoda lifting the X-wing out of the swamp, and it took like 3 minutes for him to do that, and then it took Rey 45 seconds, and then the scene moves on to the next scene.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, that was awesome.
Everything just goes smoothly, fastly past.
Yes.
All right, superior position, showing us the military's planned nerve gas hoax. This is something I actually wanted to talk about, but who put this on here?
I put this on here because I think this is one of the most interesting things and instructive things the movie does, because to your point, Jamie, with the obsession stakes, I feel like the emotional, like being on board with Roy's obsession changes if we don't have this superior position. Like if we don't know that the military is making a hoax because this is really happening, I feel like that's a really important choice that a lesser movie or just another movie, another version of this wouldn't let you in on that. And then when Roy's going to the mountain, you don't know if like the nerve gas is real, right? Us knowing that the nerve gas is fake like puts us on board with Roy in a way that we wouldn't be if it were.
We also want to know if his obsession is gonna break through.
Yes. Right. If he's gonna give up. Yes.
Yeah, if we didn't know,
yes.
we'd be like that. Then we'd be like, well, wait, what is this gas thing? It'd be muddling the obsession storyline.
Yeah, and I don't really have anything to say other than I thought it was an interesting thing the movie did that's like very specific and yeah.
I think it shows us the power of their vision.
Of doing that, of making that choice, yeah.
Now, supposedly, and this doesn't speak to that particular scene, but supposedly the theatrical version had less science-y stuff. Again, if you look at the times are so close together that I don't think it was massively less science-y stuff, but there was some less science-y stuff.
I love that we can't even quote the theatrical.
Yeah.
We're like, I don't know what's in that one.
But like, I think people were confused. I think they might have added like the SETI, the globe scene or something like that might have been added in later, because people were confused, like, well, how did they figure out about Devil's Island? And of course that first scene isn't there. So imagine if this movie opened without that first scene, you can imagine that we'd be more with Roy and walking with Roy through this, like, as opposed to kind of knowing that there's something big on an epic scale happening.
I feel like he did that in War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
Like this, like War of the Worlds doesn't have the scenes with the scientists and stuff. We just followed the Roy Neary, which is Tom Cruise,
Yeah.
So we only know what Roy knows.
That's it. No, nothing else. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think what I've heard is it played more like a horror movie in some ways. You know what I mean? It played a little bit more mysterious and
so there was even more
and
of that.
strange. Yeah. But again, I think we're only good. If you look at the times, it's like 137 minutes versus 135 versus 138 or something like that. It's like the times are so close. Now, of course, adding that first scene means you have to cut other things to get those numbers to work and things like that. So I don't know, but that's what I've read about the theatrical release.
But Bob, was there anything else you had to say about that? Yeah.
No, that's pretty much, you covered it. Like that's something
it's like a really important choice.
I was just thinking, like, what if we didn't know? And I was like, then it would muddle the whole point.
It changes it. Yeah.
It changes it completely.
Yeah.
It would make, like, is the gas real?
Right. You're thinking about that.
No.
You would start just like focusing on the nerve gas as like the story.
Also,
right?
The nerve gas is like has nothing to do with anything.
Right. It's like,
you know what I mean?
It would government.
It'd be so muddled. Like, what the hell does nerve gas have to do with aliens?
The weirdest part about this movie, whenever I watch it, I always think that section I almost want to skip over. It's like when they're climbing the mountain, because I already know what's going to happen and things.
Right.
It doesn't feel like it's a little bit of an action beat, but the one saving grace that it has, like that I usually watch it and pay attention, is the other guy that's with them.
The guy.
He's like,
there's something
Larry.
about that guy that makes me laugh.
Larry.
Yeah.
Why does he not? He really loves that coat. He's like carrying the coat the whole time. I'm like,
I don't know,
dude, you're about to see like whatever you in your mind has been implanted by aliens. You're about to meet them. And you're just like, you can't let go of this coat. He's like climbing a mountain while holding a coat in one hand. I'm just like, dude.
Larry's my favorite part.
Yeah, Larry's great. Justice for Larry. Dialogue repetition.
All right, I love this one. This is mine. I'm gonna breeze through this one because it only does one, and that's all it needs to do. And I just love that for as much as vibesy as this thing is, it's still doing the things that the Hollywood cheeseburgers tend to do.
Right.
So dialogue repetition is, we've talked about probably 100 times on the show. As much as Jamie does genres, Save the Cat genres, I do dialogue repetition or just repetition in general. And one of the easiest ways to show the audience how things are changing, progressing for a character or regressing, depending on what type of story it is giving us the same thing twice, 3 times. And, it's like a status update for the character's relationship or their situation or their arc. And this one, so for example, the princess one we've done in the past, The Princess Bride. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. He says that twice in situations, and we know he's hunting the killer of his father, and then he finally confronts the actual killer of his father and gets to say that line. So we understand the time is now. He's finally closing this loop, right? In Into the Spider-Verse, Peter Parker and Miles Morales have that back and forth. It's a leap of faith. We don't trade lives in Captain America and Vision in Infinity War. And most recently in the back rooms we just did, Clark says to Mary, and then later when Mary goes to the back room, she says the same line to the observer. It's like trying to describe a dog to someone who's never seen one, then asking them to draw one. So this one has, this means something. This is important.
Right.
So when Roy when Roy first sees the kid putting together like a little mud mountain, he says, I can't explain it, but like, I'm seeing this too. Like, this means something. This is important. And as things are escalating for Roy, and he's like losing his family, runs away. He's like in that room by himself. He's now got the giant tower, right, in his house, made out of everything he could come up with at his place. He says it again, like, I don't understand. Like, this means something. This is important. And then the third time, to convince the military to like let these people go to the base with them, the French guy, I think his name is Lacombe, is that his name? The French scientist and then the interpreter. So the French scientist says it in French to the military, and then Laughlin says it like in English. He's like, this means something, like this is important. So it goes from madness to like science, right, to proving that like this does mean something. And then hearing it out of those two people's mouths, we understand that like Roy was right. And like, even though we haven't seen the aliens at this point, when that line is uttered, it gives the sense that Roy's no longer a man who's going mad. He's a man who's like understands something other people don't understand. So I thought that it was a really cool example of the dialogue repetition, and another example showing that like that's all you really, when I'm writing, this is like one of the first things I do. Like, what can I do that's like sums it up in one line, and repeat it. So it's cool.
Good stuff. Handshakes?
Yeah, this is also mine, and we actually haven't done it in a while, even though we did it on the pop quiz at the end of Shawshank.
Oh yeah.
But before that, we haven't done it in a long while. So like, this is my code for, it's a specialized form of repetition. It's like a shortcut for bonding between your characters, right? And you repeat this specialized bonding thing they have, and that's also showing how the relationship is progressing, right? And so for example, in Big, it's the ice cream soda pop, tastes like a lollipop. It's a literal handshake. That's what inspired this, where he proves that I'm not an adult. I'm actually your friend Josh in this adult's body, right? They use the handshake. On the show, we did E.T. and Gertie Be Good, right? Gertie teaches E.T. how to talk, how to interact with humans, and then in the end, like Gertie, he says "be good" to Gertie, and that's their handshake, right? That's their bonding, specialized bonding thing. In Avengers Endgame, it's "I love you 3000" with his daughter. In Deadpool, they had 4 of them for Wade and Vanessa: the interlocking pinkies, the dueling sob stories, the 2 jigsaws pieces fit together repetition, and then the use of Careless Whisper, which goes into my one for this movie, which is a song as a handshake. So that's like one of the cool things that stuck out to me. So in Deadpool, we got Careless Whisper is how we show how the relationship is growing and changing. In It's a Wonderful Life, we talked about the song Buffalo Gals. The song Buffalo Gals is what they're singing together when George starts the relationship with Mary, and then over time, Buffalo Gals keeps coming up and showing how his relationship with Mary is changing. And so I thought it was cool that here we go again. We have a 1946 movie, a 1977 movie, and then Deadpool 2016 using the same thing, which is the mystery song, right? It's what bonds all the characters, even they don't even know each other, right? The people in the desert are singing it. The scientists know it. Everybody has this mutual handshake. And then it ends up being taught as sign language to try to teach to the scientists how to communicate with the aliens. And then in the end, the alien comes out and the French scientist actually gets to use the sign language, and the alien signs back. So it's a cool example of a handshake. It's kind of unconventional since there's nothing really said, you know? So this was a cool one for me. This really stuck out. And it kind of proved to me that this does work. You know, you don't even need to say anything for it to work. So it's cool.
It can just be hand positions.
It could literally be like
sign language. Yeah. Right. All right. I think this is the biggest one and the last one. What about the ending? Why does it work? Because if you talk about endings, right? Like what movie hinges on the ending more?
Yeah. And this one is an unusual ending because there's no real conflict to it. It's just the meeting. It's the transcendence. It's
meeting God, the universe.
And you know, the only other movie that to me this compares to is 2001.
Yeah.
But 2001 does it in a more trippy,
right.
You know, a vibes way in some ways. It's like it drop some acid and watch this kind of thing. This one is concrete. We can explain what happened. But why does this one work? And it's kind of open-ended. I mean, I'll tell you my theory of why it works. One, it's just super well executed.
That's what I was going to say. Execution.
If it wasn't executed this well, maybe it doesn't work, and this whole movie becomes this joke or something. But
he said it's the hardest thing he's ever edited, right? Is the ending of Close Encounters.
There are little moments in it, and I don't know why these moments work so well. But like to me, whenever I watch it, like when all the guys, like after the first series, all the scientists kind of handshake each other, and I'm like, that feels real almost. There's something about it when they're all like kind of, and they're all like, yeah, we did it, you know. And there's something about it that feels so real. And I always kind of obsess myself on like extras and scenes like that, like group scenes. I kind of stare at them because they're always so horrible. There's something about all those people that really work, and the little moments in between that, but that's all execution. Like that's less about the script. The only reason it's hard for me to even understand why it works so well, except for execution. But here's what I'll say story-wise, why it works. I think Roy's obsession.
Yeah.
This is the answer to Roy's obsession, and we want to know the answer. And it's hard for me to even think about how an audience in 1977 went in this movie theater and didn't know what was going to happen at Devil's Canyon, because I think I knew what was going to happen before I saw it. Like I think I probably saw you know, in the spaceship and all that.
That's one thing I wanted to ask you, but then I remembered how young you were. So this is coming off the heels of Jaws, right?
Yes.
So was the audience expecting that this was going to have a scary ending, right? That they were going to be monsters?
I think so. They had to be.
But that's what makes this movie different.
We have to escape. They're attacking us, you know?
Right.
Can you imagine if that was the
Mars
end of the
attacks
movie?
thing?
Yeah, Mars attacks. Yeah.
Right.
It's like bring them all there to destroy them.
So I think that speaks to some of the story aspect, right? It's a reversal of expectation for this 1977 audience who's like thinking it's a giant alien shark, right?
In that AMC thing I watched, he said, he's like, every alien movie I grew up with as a kid, they're all here to kill us.
Yeah.
So this is me doing, you know, subverting the expectation of what an alien is.
So that's part of it, right? That's part of why
what if they were just good and everything? And it's also like explaining the things that we know of the alien genre in a non-threatening way. Like, oh, they abduct all these people, but they mean to give them back.
Yeah, they're gonna give him back, right?
They didn't mean to hurt them. They're trying to understand.
And the kid's still happy. He's not like
he wasn't hurt or harmed or anything. Like they just wanted to understand who we are as beings. And you know,
and I think also, and this goes to the obsession, like this climax, like it gives almost the emotional meaning to the answer instead of the answer itself. But it has
that's why you didn't want to go in the ship.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it has like the entire movie builds to this moment, in that the music, the lights we've seen, the clouds, it's all payoff, right? There's like 50 payoffs all in this scene. The airplanes pay off, the boat, all those things. The kid coming back. There's just all these different payoffs that happen. And the whole movie is like built almost like he started with this and then built backwards.
And reverse engineered.
And it's just kind of an incredible ending that I can't think of too many movies quite like it. But I started to think, I'm like, is there, and I'm going to give you a real jive movie to like as an example, but I started to think, is there something like, I don't know, the coronation ending or something, the capper ending? So it's not like a big battle. Instead, it's like a celebration. And
Star Wars has a celebration at the end.
Well, that's the
but they defeat the Empire first. Or the Death Star.
And I was like, are there movies that have these celebrations? I was the only one I could think of. It's not a great movie. We did it on the show. Is like Bohemian Rhapsody, right? Where the concert, like a 20-minute concert, is the ending, right? And it's like a celebration ending. But I was like,
Rat Race. They have a Smash Mouth concert.
I mean, again, that's more an epilogue.
This is another thing we'll look for with the Obsession stakes and this.
Yeah,
it'll be very interesting if they're one and the same, right? If that type of ending follows an Obsession stakes story.
I feel like also this ending might play badly for a modern audience. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it is of its time, and also like I think it can be anticlimactic for some new viewers.
Gotcha.
I've seen people say that.
So one thing that you guys, both of you guys, when you guys were musing about why this hit you so hard when it didn't, when you were as harder now, I think it kind of speaks to the ending, speaks to that a bit, which is like, when you get older, there you lose the wonder, you lose the sense of awe, kind of goes away, and the sense of like, and this kind of rekindles that, like a guy gets to like experience the great beyond. There's something there.
I mean, he's not middle-aged, but he's close.
Yeah, and he's like 40 almost,
it's like
right?
He's gonna experience the mysteries of the universe.
Yeah, and that's satisfying. Like,
when he's about the age when you start questioning, like, what's the point?
What does it matter?
What
right?
does any of this shit matter?
And then this guy comes and he gets to see,
and the movie
does matter. Right?
Gives that moment of like, you're gonna find out why it matters.
Yes,
it gives that breath, and it like shows us, this majesty. Of the moment a man is gonna figure out why.
It's
he's gonna answer
us.
why.
And that's very satisfying. That's emotionally satisfying for sure in itself. So.
One other, back to my point about like the coronation style ending. Again, I don't know Field of Dreams well enough, but does that end with just playing baseball, or is there like?
No, it ends with a bunch of people. Like there's like a line that keeps going. There's like thousands of cars who are coming.
Yeah. They're coming to the
same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
so
is that? I mean, what's the finale though? Is it leading up to that? Is it like the moments before that?
The finale is he gets to play catch with.
I'm trying to think of like those stories that the ending isn't really a conflict.
It's just like
it's
like
payoff.
An earned
it's a big payoff section or something. And music, I almost think music things like Whiplash I mentioned before. I don't know. I'm going to the Obsession ones because I'm like, maybe they just pay off. Like he plays the drums in the end and he's on the stage.
That's it. That is the end of Obsession. I mean, of Whiplash. He's playing the piece and he's bleeding, but he's still playing and he's doing great, and that's it. Like,
incidentally, this one has music in it too, which is weird. Like for some reason, sports movies and music movies kind of come to mind. For some reason,
I feel like sports still has like the winning the game.
Yeah, because even
the Super Bowl,
even though in some ways Rocky just getting there is the coronation, he does battle the fight. He still wins.
He makes it to the physical point he needs to. That's the win. We're it's drawn out for us. That's
what's drawn out for us. Like there's another conflict in there, but the match itself is a conflict.
You want to think of movies where it's like, my dad finally hugged me,
right?
Right.
or something like that. I don't know. Like, like I finally got the validation I've been seeking.
Yeah, it is validation, right?
It is.
That's what Roy. That's
Yeah.
what Roy needs, and that's what we want.
Yeah,
Roy to get.
I was right in this journey, or something like that.
Yeah,
This
like it
journey
was all
okay.
worth it.
And then
Yes.
whatever that
there it
means,
is, Bob. It was all worth it.
It was all worth it. But
that's what it is.
But
because that's what you feel.
Yeah,
that's what you feel.
But
it was all worth it.
I've got a reverse of it.
What's that?
Explorers, where they find out it all wasn't worth it.
Oh,
yes.
The ending of the that's why people don't love that. I love that movie dearly.
I love it too.
The whole movie's about disappointment. It's just like, it's the reverse of E.T. in a lot of ways. But yeah, like they get to space and they find out, unlike Roy Neary, they're like, oh, you're just two fucking idiot kids, and and that's the end of the movie. Really, it's not.
It was all worth it is a good way to get to what are these
right. And it's almost like what I'm looking for is 20 minutes of the reason it was all worth it, as opposed to one little epilogue moment. You know what I mean?
Would Interstellar count? I mean, he meets his own daughter and they have
again,
their conversation.
The difference I'm trying to find is this is 30 minutes of it's all worth it without any.
You're right. It's
there
really
they
long.
more win it in the end. It's like 30 minutes of winning it and then 1 minute of hugging or something. That's the difference I'm trying to figure out. But I don't know. I have a feeling there's
this is
more
such
of
an
these.
unconventional movie.
It's weird. It's weird.
It's super weird.
But it totally works for me.
It works.
I mean,
it works for me too.
I still watch that ending all the way through, where normally I'd say that once you lose the conflict, in some ways it's kind of done. Now there's tension in this because we don't know. There's mystery.
What are they going to do? And then
we don't know what
they're just going to be like, hi, what's up? And then leave.
and then in this, they keep revealing thing after thing. It's like we see an alien.
And then there's a guy with big giant arms.
Yeah.
And then there's the John Williams music and everything.
It's kind of like a circus, right?
Yeah.
It's just
it's funny because this is I'm sure there's many movies about religion, but this last 30 minutes feels more religious. Than just the execution is so.
Yeah, when you said God, it's like meeting God, it does feel like that. Right? You're going to the afterlife.
Just in the execution alone,
beyond this earth. Yeah,
it's just like there's so much majesty in it.
Yeah,
it's like everything Spielberg is in this scene. Everything.
I love that as both of you listeners can't see it, but as Jamie and Bob ponder this, they're both making the same.
Yeah, we're both stroking our chins,
stroking expressions.
Yes. The execution is what it is. Yeah.
We'll do a Spielberg wonder shot.
That was awesome, Jamie.
Yeah. Jesus. When it came out in 2017, I saw it with a friend who had never seen it, our age. And I'll tell you something, he was disappointed.
Damn.
He's like, I understand why it's beloved, but didn't do much for me. And the ending was just like, whatever.
That's so interesting.
And I think it's the expectation that something is going to happen after he makes it to Devil's Tower. But it's really just, nope, they're good. It's all good. They're returning the people. Let's take a few
right. It's so joyous. For
everything
the most part.
goes down smoothly and perfect.
Yeah.
And it's not a modern audience type of thing.
The other thing, speaking of something we talk about all the time, mental real estate. This movie was a mental real estate movie for UFOs. There was nothing, because like I said, 2001 was a big movie, not UFOs, sci-fi. And then the other ones were like 1950s style UFO movies.
Yeah.
But this is not that. This is something else.
Yeah.
Bob shared a thing yesterday that Quentin Tarantino was talking about Close Encounters. And what he says is really true. He was kind of comparing it to Star Wars, and he didn't poo-poo Star Wars or put it down, but he said Star Wars is directed excellently and it's well made and well crafted, but he was doing what Tarantino does. Tarantino didn't say that, but he borrowed from samurai movies and Flash Gordon and all this stuff. So he kind of did. But this movie is like, and it's so weird because it's a big blockbuster movie, but it's like a pure vision that somebody had and came up with and wrote and then executed. And it's Spielberg's just pure vision on screen. Like there really aren't predecessors to it to an extent. Yes, 2001 and stuff like that. But
he also said in that video that he was like, it made the sci-fi genre have like this prestigious air to it for like the decades that followed. Like,
right.
Like Star Wars is kind of it is sci-fi, but we've talked about this.
It's fantasy.
It's fantasy. Yeah. It's really fantasy. Yeah. Whereas this is like what's like every big sci-fi movie is expected to be this, like, and there's things like Interstellar is now like people with Project Hail Mary, people keep talking about Interstellar. And then when Interstellar came out, they talked about, this, or what I mean? Like, it's like big prestigious sci-fi stuff that with big themes and notions about life and existence. And the 50s sci-fi didn't do that really, it didn't really do that. So like, it did start something, but the ending works. So
for at least for us and
for
millions of others.
Yeah, for most people. We're still, I mean, we're gonna do Project Hail Mary, but this is referenced in the movie itself.
Yeah,
if you didn't know.
I'll say I've had over recent years, and I can't really say what this project is, but I've had one client who sent me a script that I got, and the script wasn't done, it wasn't finished, but it made me sort of emotional in the end. And the whole history of all the scripts, like, I'm like, scripts don't make me emotional. I don't really get it. And it kind of had an ending like this. I can't really say what it was, but it was kind of like this, and that it was just the culmination, the inevitable end of a story that culminated somewhere. And it sort of worked. Where I would never prescribe this. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody sent me this,
right, you don't want to teach it.
I would not be like, oh, just write 30 pages of like description of an alien encounter with a bunch of stuff. It just wouldn't ever work on the page. I don't think. But this particular thing wasn't 30 pages. It was like 10 pages tops, and it was very different. So yeah, it's just very unique, and I almost want to look for it in other movies that work.
Yeah, we're gonna find it now.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be looking for obsession stakes for sure.
This, like, I don't do what you guys do, but this doesn't feel like Close Encounters. Doesn't feel like a movie that other movies try to do too. You know what I mean? Like, I don't watch a lot of sci-fi movies and feel like, oh, you're just trying to do Close Encounters.
They couldn't.
I think
it's such an odd movie.
I think they steal parts of it. You know what I mean?
There's like small things, but like the whole.
Let's steal the catalyst. Let's steal the Devil's Tower stuff. Let's steal, in their own way.
Yeah, totally.
But not in whole, not in structure or something.
Yeah. I mean, there's like Paul and stuff, but that's doing that on purpose,
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like parodying it. But
boy, what a great reference. Paul.
I love Paul.
Love that movie.
Yeah, I love it. But I'm just saying, like, the majesty of that last half hour, I don't feel like, I don't know. And just the structure of this movie, it's just so unique and just not replicable without perfect execution.
It's good. Well
I guess it's such a weird movie. It truly is. Guy sees a ship, goes insane, leaves his family, and then meets aliens, and everything's nice. It's like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? It's just like so odd.
I think in a weird sort of way, and maybe that this is also what speaks to me as an adult, though, it feels realistic, like, because it isn't.
Yeah.
Because I think weird stuff like that does happen. Like in Hollywood, it had to be a happy ending or something. He'd go back home. He'd choose home. He'd find. In this movie, he doesn't choose home, and he does go away. I think that speaks to it's. I know you said a young man, but it's sort of adultness, and it's not non-Hollywood ways. Like,
well,
it speaks to realism to me, because people make decisions that destroy families all the time.
All the
time.
Yeah, people cheat on their spouses and ruin their whole family for nothing, for sex or something like that. So,
and certainly,
why would you leave your family for the secrets of the universe?
or career or something like that, they get too obsessed with their career or whatever their passion is or something and ruin their lives. So it kind of feels truthful and not necessarily Hollywood happy ending, even though it is kind of a happy ending because it feels like there's something out there and we can transcend. So
I think the reason I said youthful too is partly because Spielberg says that. Like, we all know he said if he made this 20 years later, it wouldn't be the movie, right?
Right.
It's not the same movie.
I think Tarantino bashes him for that too. He's like, that movie would be horrible. And I agree. I tend to agree. I'm like, it would be horrible, but it just would be.
Spielberg now would have the family like come back in, and he would choose to stay with the family, and that would be, and then it'd be like, why did we go through all that?
It wouldn't be a fitting end. Yes.
Yeah, it's like, why did we just watch him go insane? Then and then it's like the message is, family's nice and happy and good, or something. I don't know.
Right.
It's like not unique. I think
Jamie, when Jamie, when you were talking about like stories about career driving, driving everyone away, I was definitely like when he's putting that giant version of the mountain together, and he's like, "This means something. This is important." I was like, "This is what it feels like to write a screenplay alone." No, this is good.
Or even making that thing in the house, like with the garden. That's like what you do when you're producing a film with no budget.
Right. Yeah.
That's when you turn, like I did that. I turned my house into the set, and I put holes in the walls and painted rooms and left props up.
Something we didn't really talk about too is like you could see this as like a metaphor for being an artist.
Absolutely.
Like you have to sacrifice all this stuff to do to concentrate on the thing has to be done.
So
and then it was all worth it, Bob. The
it was all worth it.
Letterbox reviews were all worth it.
I've seen people
reviews.
I've seen people put that out there because all their stuff, their psychic stuff, is sculpture and sketches and music and all this other stuff. So it's all like propagated to
that. And people say that we're not gonna. People ruin their family lives to make movies and shit.
Absolutely.
Like that's the real thing. People spend way too much money. They're obsessed with finishing a project, and their wife is like, no more. I'm going to my sister's.
This means something.
Yeah, but don't you understand?
It's kind of
this horror movie means something.
In the artist world, it's more like, this time it'll work.
Right.
Yeah.
What?
This time it'll all be worth it.
I thought we were done with that. I thought you gave that up. We had an intervention.
This time it'll all.
No, but this one's different. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Oh, man. All right. I don't think we can dissect the ending too much more. But that's why it's a great ending. You probably talk about it for hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to say about Close Encounters of the Third? When I was a kid, I thought third kind meant like, this is when I was a child. I thought it was men, women, aliens. I thought aliens.
Like aliens.
When I was a child, I thought that's what it meant. Such a dumb idea.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
I've mentioned this before, but I was always impressed by Spielberg's titles, because like Close Encounters of the Third Kind was not something it's not like today where we have TikTok and people talk. Yeah.
Right.
It's like nobody knew what that term meant. Nobody.
Right.
Like, except 2 alien fanatics in the world or something, or people that read some of the literature he'd been reading. But he came up with that. Poltergeist, I had never heard that term before he came up with it. E.T. the extraterrestrial, I didn't know what an extraterrestrial was. I called them aliens or UFOs.
Probably not his doing, but calling a movie AI really aged well.
Yeah.
Holy
wow.
Shit. Right. Yeah, it's a good title. I mean, now it would be called Close Encounters.
Just that.
Yeah, it would just be Close Encounters. Yeah.
Or just Encounters.
Encounters. Close.
One word title.
Just call it
Close.
Do you guys remember the really awful half like found footage movie called The Fourth Kind?
I do.
Yes.
You remember
I didn't
that
see it.
awful-
Mia Jovovich, right?
Yeah.
It was. I think it was interesting, but a hard watch. I could never.
Oh man, it was hard to sit
watch.
through. Like the
Yeah.
premise was okay, but
Yeah,
The DP of that is going to be turn out to be one of our listeners.
biggest-
I DP'd that.
it's gonna leave us a shitty review now.
it's
Sorry if we.
But
Yeah,
shit on
hey,
your
you
work.
shot it well. It wasn't that. That wasn't the problem, dude. You know. Did you guys have anything else? You want to plug anything? Or?
Nope, I don't have anything.
No, nothing here. Nothing.
All right, that's everything. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks.
Hey, this is Bob Rose, and thank you for listening to Writers Blockbusters. If you'd like to financially support the show, please consider joining my Patreon. I've been producing the podcast for several years completely out of pocket, and I'd like to keep producing it ad-free and no longer at a loss. If you'd like to help, head on over to patreon.com/Bob Rose Sucks. That's right, Bob Rose Sucks. And if you want the one and only Jimmy George to help polish up that writing project you're kind of struggling with, head on over to scriptbutcher.com. As a listener, you already know he's the best there is, scriptbutcher.com. You can also support the show by simply sharing it or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate both. Thank you for listening, and see you next episode.